Namaste, everyone, and Merry Christmas. You know, Plato would say that he didn't know what was the most fascinating, actually. Children afraid of the dark or adults afraid of the light. One of the quotes that came to me a few years ago is to wish upon a star is progress. To know you are a star is evolution. To wish upon a star is progress. To know you are a star is evolution. And along the way, a few people have said, are you talking about like starbound, like celebrity? I'm like, no, that's not what I mean. I mean an original birth. I mean a great call within humanity, because it's my heart belief that not often are people truly ever born. I mean, our parents had us, but it's up to us to continue to birth ourselves so we can wish upon a reality, or we can become the reality that we are. That is our evolution. That is what we are designed and destined to be. And that is part of the great plague in our humanity and these times, is that people do not understand the necessity of being born over and over and over again. And when we're not being born constantly, we are dying on another level, energetically, connection wise, and all those various ways. I've always loved the crescent moon and star. It's always been very special to me. So when I was 19 years old, I went with a group of friends and they were all getting a tattoo. And I thought, I am not getting a tattoo. I've already blown my family away enough with my originality, and I got to sit back for a while. Well, I went to a local bar and I had probably 3 drinks or 4 too many. I thought, what the heck? So I go into the tattoo parlor and I asked the guy, I said, could you make me a crescent moon and star right here on my arm? And so he did. So when I came back and I was around my aunt one day and I had on a tank top, and was extremely of the extreme of religiosity. And she looked on my arm and she said, exactly, what is that on your arm? And I said, oh, it's my crescent moon and star. And she said, no, it is not. It is Islamic. It's satanic. And you are getting that tattoo off your arm. It's of the devil. And by the way, and you're already in that cult, so what are you doing? And so I just want you to know that I still have that tattoo on my arm. But the deeper story of that, to know you are a star, is all my life I've loved the crescent moon and stars. So when I was in my 40s, a man wanted to thank me for doing a talk. It wasn't necessary, but he felt it was. And so he ordered from a company, and they exist, a lot of them, of the time I was born and the place I was born and the day that I was born. And he had it framed and gifted it to me. And underneath it said, Temple Hayes, the day that you were born in Anderson, South Carolina, was under a crescent moon and star. Ah, wow. Think of that for me. Think of that for you. Think of that magic of how it all works together. It fascinates me that the Christmas story is around an opening of a barn that there's no room for, meaning we need to expand more than our existing space. The stars, the astrology just showed up on the night that Jesus was born, and that we miss that identification of our own resonation within our own lives. Being born is such a special part of our soul. And I have found that every day of my life, I am either being born or I am dying. And there's that moving in the ebb and flow at any given time, that there's something new that is coming in that is the evolutionary part of my being, or there is something old that is time to go and going out. It's when we are determined to hold into a certain way, whether it's diet, whether it's relationship, whether it's beliefs, whether it's habits, whatever it is, when we are in our stuck positionality, we are wreaking woundology. We are wreaking suffering because that emerging self, that star that's wanting to be evolved and stuck, is in the way, in the space of something new that is destined to happen. I was thinking about Christmas trees and how years ago you would have the tree and then you would have the string of lights and you would add them, and it was pretty simple. The bulbs were quite sizable, and when one would go out, you could just simply, you could replace it. But then we got, a little more sophisticated, and trees evolved, and you could buy them out of the box with the lights on them. Well, it's a beautiful idea, except when one of the lights would go out, and you could spend all this time trying to figure out where is the light that's out, because the whole system went out. And that, I think, is a great metaphor for us to think about our humanity, for us to think about all of the living creatures on our planet. We are not separate from each other, not at all. And if your light is dim and out, wherever you are in the West or any part of the world, then my light is affected and feels that too. We are a string of lights in harmony together. And the great call is for us to be birthed and letting go so that we may rise above, so our light can shine ever so brightly. And once we achieve a certain critical mass, there is an awakening in the age of Aquarius that there's no turning back. And that's my invoking today. Is I invoke you from your heart. As one of my favorite songs from The Wiz is that if you believe within your heart, you'll know that no one can change the path of life that you must go. Believe what you feel and know you're right, because the time will come around when you'll say, it's all yours. But it's about believing in your heart. It's about opening your heart. It's about letting go. It's about forgetting the stories of how someone's hurt you, how someone's done you harm. Because let me tell you something clearly. As long as you hold on to the story, you continue to make them right. You continue to live that harm. You continue to live that hurt. And the moment you let it go, it has no power or energy over you anymore. Hardening of the heart. When you look at our society, that is one of the number one causes of death are heart issues. And I ask you, really, why is that so? Our heart is that deep-rooted connection to our soul. It's our expression. It's our attraction. Give yourself the gift this year. I understand what I'm talking to you about today. I held back so many years of my life, and I feared that opening of being disappointed, of being abandoned, of being hurt. But you know what that meant? I continued to disappoint myself, to abandon myself, to hurt myself. That's what it is with cause and effect. Let it all go. Be born. Be that light. Move on. Unwrap yourself in the greatest possible way. There's a story of a little girl who's someone said, how does your mom love you? And she said, well, my mom really loves me when she reads me a bedtime story. But oh my, she really, really, really loves me when she doesn't skip any pages. I think that's what we need to look at. We can tell all the great stories. We can have statues of nativity scenes. We can talk about other great people in our humanity, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, Buddha, Sai Baba, Krishna, all these other awakened beings, the avatars on our planet. We can talk all about them, but what way does it serve when we are not, by way of example, living the very teaching of what they said, of what they stated? The whole international universal Christmas message is about divine love. It's about inclusion and diversity. It's more than just hanging out with people that are like you. It's hanging out and loving and embracing everybody that is different. It's about being a difference maker. And difference makers, the joy of accepting that you are one and stepping into that space, is when someone's different, you're happy for them. They don't threaten you. You don't need to be right, because being a difference maker is saying with sacred humility, I surrender myself to God to fully express what my soul came to be. And so there's no power play. There's no I'm higher than you, or my title is more than you, or all of that. It's that humility that I see you. I see you. I see you, beloved. I see you from the space of the heart. And that's a great assignment for you and for me. It's when you're in a grocery store or you're somewhere out in public, even with your mask on, is that you look at that being and you're aware of the mentalizing that's going on. You're looking at what you're saying or how you're talking about that person whom you don't know, and learn to lessen that language, learn to lessen that judgment, learn to lessen that criticizing. Because what I like to practice is that what I'm aware of is that when I am focusing and criticizing someone else, how convenient. That means I'm blocking my heart. So that's the way to know that. The task of keeping your heart open is to give up that critical and judgmental way of living. That's what it's all about. My friend John told me that when you lose your sight, you lose things. And when you lose your hearing, you lose people. But when you lose yourself, when you lose the being on the path of your soul, you miss out on the magical and the mysticism of life. I can assure you, of all those years that I denied my path and I almost drank myself to death and went to jail twice, and oh gosh, all the things of my journey when I was resisting. I was resisting the light. I can tell you that the best surrender is in letting it go. There's so much magic. There's so many miracles. In closing, you go to the afterlife and they're there and they all gather around you and they ask you, how was heaven? How did you shine? in heaven? How did you know that in the midst of all the glory of everything that was possible, did you open your heart and allow yourself to be immersed? Did you allow the star within you to evolve? God bless you on this amazing journey we call life. And I am so grateful that you are in my life, whether you are a new friend or an old friend or a dear friend or an open-hearted friend. It matters not. For what I know is that we are connected, and together we light the world. God bless you.